Hello and welcome to the Addicts Anonymous podcast. I'm your host, Jim R. Today's episode 108, and we're going to be interviewing Samuel G. How you doing, Samuel?
I'm all right. I'm blessed. I'm highly favored.
I'm glad
How
to
are
hear that
you?
you're doing well. So let's dive in here. Tell me about growing up. How was your childhood?
Well, I was in a single parent household in a pretty rough neighborhood, Park Hill on Staten Island. It was, it was rough, man. I used to have to fight. When we first moved there, I had to fight to get to the bus stop. My mother and father were getting divorced.
Who are you getting into fights with?
The kids in the neighborhood,
They were
the
picking
other
on you?
kids, the other young kids in the neighborhood. Oh yeah, definitely. I was a sensitive kid. You know, I wasn't really outgoing. I wasn't violent. I was, just a chubby kid, man, and like laughing. So I got moved from Queens and I was a 5 or 6, yeah. So it was like a whole different type, I went from a house to projects, and it was like a big, culture shock for me.
What made you go to the projects? Is that after your parents got divorced?
That's where my mother moved. When she left my father, she moved into one building, 55 was a single building, and then she moved from there to 350 Vanderbilt. And she had me and my little brother, and she was a single mom, man. And it was hard. I'd say around 77, 1977, 76, 77. And you know, it was rough. Lights going out, plugging the extension cord in the hallway for electricity, fighting to keep it in because kids would pull it out. Um, my father was an alcoholic, so yeah, alcoholism runs in my family really hard. So it was kind of, a lot of arguing. One day my father came to see us, and my mother wouldn't open the door. So he kicked the big metal door and it like seized shut. We had to like get the maintenance man, and they had to get all types of people to get the door open. So, it was just, everybody has rough childhoods. I had a lot of love though. I had, a lot of family members around me, my aunts, my grandmother, and my brother. My brother is because my mother had my second brother after they divorced. She had, my second brother, my youngest one. It's about 40 now.
How old
So
are you?
it's I'm 53. I'm 53. I had my first drink when I was 9. I got it from my father. It was an old English. I started smoking weed around 12. Started sniffing cocaine around 13.
So your dad gave you your first beer?
Yeah, it was my first beer. Told me I was on Junction Boulevard in Corona, Queens. And he said, you got to down this beer before we hit the corner. And I still remember to this day how my eyes, flooded with tears because of the beer I got. It was a 16-ounce Old English, and I had to, pound it down. And it didn't taste good. I did it because that's what I thought men do, and that was my impression. And then, from there it started, any family gathering, weddings, um, funerals, you know, adults put the glasses down, we'd run around, take the glasses, drink the drinks. It was, that's how it started. You know, around 14, things got kind of crazy. I ran away. I started running away. I started, hanging in the streets.
Why'd you run away?
Selling drugs. Um, because my mother, she worked for the police department and she got hurt. And so I was basically taking care of her and taking care of my brothers. Um, I would wake up, how they deliver the newspapers early in the morning. So I would wake up and I would steal all of the newspapers, take them down to the ferry, go over there on the other side, and I'd sell the newspapers so that I could get back in time for when my brothers woke up. They'd have food, and so, but I was, smoking weed at this time. People sold joints on the ferry, and it was a neighborhood thing, and everybody knew everybody. So, I pretty much did what I had to do, and that was right around that time. That's when I got into selling weed and then other things, that was in the 80s. So,
How old were
started
you?
sniffing coke. Right.
How old were you when you started selling weed?
Around 12, I started selling joints on the ferry. Buy nickel pad.
So it was a newspaper and a joint.
Yep. When I
That's a
seen
good
what
morning
was
for
going
someone, right?
on, seen what was going on, why not?
Yeah.
Everybody was smoking. That's what they needed before they went to work. They needed a joint in the morning, and that's what it was,
Yeah.
So I did that, and I ran away. I started, I started selling crack around 14 and 15. Started selling crack. This is when Jamaicans, Trinidadians, an influx of those, people from Jamaica, Trinidad, and I started selling crack. Around that time, that's when I started smoking, but I was smoking it with weed. I wasn't smoking it out of a pipe or anything like that. So
what, you were just putting coke and weed?
yeah, no, coke or crack. Roll it up in a blunt and smoke it like that. All the coke, snow cones, called the crack woolers. And it was like a thing, everybody, in the beginning, everybody was doing it. In the beginning, everybody around my age was doing it until, it got too much when they started to see the effects that the crack was having on the adults in the neighborhood. It became like, a no-no, and people, became like a taboo thing, around 15, 16. There was a lot of, like any other, project, a lot of gunfights, a lot of, fighting. I caught my first charge when I was 15, first robbery charge when I was 15. My
What'd you
mother
rob?
had them, I
What
robbed
did
a
you?
person.
You
I
robbed the
robbed a
person.
person, yeah. And it was, she had them seal my records. The case went on for about a year. She had to seal my records. Then I signed up, 15 or 16, I signed up for the delayed entry program into the military. At that time, I was being, they were looking for me there because of the, the violence that was going on in the neighborhood. They had put a contract out on me. The Jamaican guys put a contract out on me. And, and so I broke out, because I had family, my little brothers and everything. I joined the army. Out of the frying pan into the fire. This was when first Gulf War was about to kick off. And so I did that. That's when my drinking, escalated, went through the roof.
So you were in the army.
Yeah. I was in during the first Gulf War.
Did you get deployed? Did you get deployed over there?
No, I never left the Americas. I never left the Americas. I was over here. No, I never left the Americas. It's like, it was a time in my life, I go back to, they still help me. The VA still assists me,
So you were married?
Yeah, I was married. I was 17, I got married. So the VA, I came back, here, to the city, and my girlfriend at the time, she got pregnant. and I married her. And my first son was born when I was 17. Um, I got discharged from the military for being, too violent, too aggressive, wouldn't follow orders, and who's going to follow rules of engagement? That, that wasn't my thing. So I was rebellious anyway. So I got an honorable discharge though. I came out, I started working for a carting company, trash removal company called Manzo. And when I got I signed up because I was a medic, I was a combat medic. So I signed up for the classes to be a paramedic, EMT at LaGuardia College. I passed the test, but instead of going, I was supposed to start it, I started selling drugs again in my neighborhood. And that didn't work out too well because I definitely, I went from alcohol and sniffing coke to smoking crack like a mad Russian. And it was all downhill from there. It was all downhill from there. I went to my first treatment center in around 1990, which was JCAP in Queens, in
Well,
St.
what happened?
Albans.
You said it was all downhill from there. What kind of stuff happened that led downhill?
um, I was spending money. I was staying up. I wouldn't get any sleep. I was going to work all week, getting off on the weekends, sitting up, smoking crack, supposed to be selling crack. I'm smoking crack. I'm getting into, fights. I'm getting into all type of, drama at the time because the neighborhood was very crime ridden at the time. Park Hill at the time. And it was a lot of violence, a lot of things happening. And I wasn't being, there was no way for me to be, a good father to a baby so my mother, asked me to go into treatment. And what happened was I caught a charge. At this time, she's 18, 19, 20, about 20,
Okay.
21,
Okay.
2021, I caught a charge and my mother actually got me, she got me mandated to JCAP. She knew the judge. My mother was very into politics and very like community activist like that. And she got me, the chance to go to JCAP. So I went to JCAP.
What's JCAP?
I was there for JCAP was a therapeutic community in Queens, in St. Albans, Queens. And now I got to tell you, when I went there, see, this is the thing, they were giving you drinking privileges. Isn't that amazing? 1990, you went there. If you got to re-entry in the program, you got to go out and you got drinking privileges. Crazy, right? This was treatment. And so I had this picture in my head of, these people coming back from their passes on the weekend and they, laughing and joking, coming from going out for a night of drinking, okay? So this is where, drugs was demonized and alcohol was still considered social, like it wasn't, the whole disease concept was not, it was like more of a behavioral thing that went with addiction at that time. It was starting to trend, they were starting to move over, like from that therapeutic community concept to a disease concept, but when it came to the, addiction. And that kind of left a stigma in my mind where I didn't group alcohol with drugs. It was like, okay, if I stop smoking crack, if I stop smoking dust, if I stop sniffing coke, and I could just drink, then I'm normal. I'm not like normal people. So that set off and left a seed in my mind that kept me unable to really commit to recovery. Like the other day, I recalled my sponsor because I'm forgiving myself. Like, I moved on. I have my sober date is April 13th, 2021. a little over a year, but I've had 3 years before. I've had 2 years, 16 months. You know, and you notice it goes down. Like it went from 3 years on down. You know, and in between, like you talking about 3 decades. In between there, I had few prison stays, a lot of jail, a lot of Rikers Island, a
When were
lot
you
of
there?
arrests. You
What kind of stuff?
know,
What kind of stuff were you getting arrested for?
Mostly assaults. I didn't really catch. I got like 2 drug charges, possessions, but assault from fighting and robberies. I had, a robbery, 2 robbery charges. My first robbery charge, I I had Virginia, Maryland, Delaware. I had robbery charges up and down the Eastern Seaboard. I got extradited to Virginia, and I caught a 17-year. I caught 17 years. They suspended. They suspended 9, and I made first parole. But when I made parole, I had to go to Maryland, so they extradited me from Virginia to Maryland. When I got to Maryland, they gave me $1 million bond, and it's so funny. The guy asked me for my autograph. The cop and the marshal dropped me off and transferred me to the cop. The cop that was taking me down to the thing asked me for my autograph for his son. He was like, I don't get to be around guys like you very often. I said, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean? He's like, no, you're a celebrity out here. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
but it was so I managed to I got charged with a lot of robberies in Maryland, but I didn't get convicted of any. So I got out of that. I got out of there, and I came back, to New York, and I was on the interstate compact. I stayed clean for a couple of weeks, but when I came back, it was like South Central. My first wife, I went in there, she was smoking crack, and my the apartment I left, with my children looked like a crack house. It was a crack house. It was that looked like. There was no lock on the door. It was dark. It's what I came back to, and I relapsed. I went back back to smoking, back into the street, and again downhill from there. Like because let me just say, I always looked at it as a matter of will. Like I always looked at it like it was a matter of me being weak-minded. A point of I had to get myself under control. I didn't wrap my head around the disease concept, and I didn't commit to abstain and sincere sobriety until just recently. Like every time I got sober, it was until I got my life together, so I could maybe smoke a joint here or there, maybe have a drink around holidays. So there was always a reservation. There was never a sincere commitment to recovery, and that kept me on the merry-go-round. You know, First wife, things leveled out. Back to jail. We wound up splitting up. We wound up splitting up. Let me see, about 16 years ago when I'm with my second wife now. I was like, around 50,000, around 36, 35, 36. And I met my second wife in Samaritan Village. I went to Samaritan Village. I got mandated to Samaritan Village.
What's
Another
that?
robbery charge. It's another therapeutic community.
What do you mean by therapeutic community exactly?
TC, therapeutic, they're long-term treatment centers. Therapeutic communities are where you
Treatment
go
for
with
drugs?
drugs,
Okay.
alcohol, or even like if you have a drug charge, they'll do it. It's like alternative to incarceration.
Okay.
If you have like a nonviolent drug charge, sometimes people with robbery charge, if they're young, they can get them like I don't know. You got Covenant House, Daytop, Samaritan Village. these were 18 and 24-month programs.
Okay.
And, I did that. And I met my second wife. And, that's where I met her. And, like she's been in recovery for, 16 years. Well, say about 15, because we left the program. I stayed clean. We got together. We used together and we used together. And, there's the illusion because I maintained my job and I had some type of illusion of control, and which was an illusion because in the big picture, it still just gave me the confidence to use and not look at the progression of the disease, because the progression always set in. The illusion of control. Okay, yeah, I copped heavy. I went to the hotel. I used. I went out. I shopped. Back to the hotel room. Sunday came around. I got up. I went to work. Until the next weekend. So thinking that I was in control kept me in that cycle of and believing like it was a matter of my will, and that's a not a good place to be because it's like it drags the people that love me through decades of being hostages and lining them up and I get clean, get my life together, stop using. They think everything's good. Next thing you know, I'm drunk. I'm like, oh, it's okay. I know what I'm doing. I got it. And now I'm putting them through the whole cycle all over again. I have two young children now, 12 and 14, but I have grown sons. I have three grandchildren. And, my oldest son, we don't talk, but he said there was never a time when you were in my life consistently. He got injured and he got addicted to opioids. So I went to see him in the hospital, he OD, and seeing him hooked up to a ventilator is crazy. It's really a self-centered disease. It's seated in my mind, and it's such a selfish, self-centered disease, the disease of addiction, because the denial is deep. The veil of denial kept me from seeing the damage that I was doing to the people around me, to lie, oh, it's just me. And then I would separate myself from the people I cared about, disappear for months on end without a phone call or anything. And thinking that they were better off without me around them. Meanwhile, it's back because now the kids are asking their mother, where's daddy? She can't tell them where I'm at. She doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't know if I'm in a ditch. She don't know if she's going to get a call from the precinct or the hospital, or, she doesn't know what's going to happen. So being blind to that is what definitely perpetuated the self-loathing, the guilt, the shame that goes with addiction. And then being mired in that and not giving the sincere, being sincere to recovery blocked me from forgiving myself. Because like I said, how could I forgive myself knowing that I was going to do the same thing again? Because I had not made a commitment to stay clean, not even stay abstinent. I was just staying clean until things were okay for me to use again. So how could I forgive myself if I knew I was do it again? I was good, but I would say, oh, it's not going to be the same way. It's not the same thing's not going to happen. This is a disease that is a spiritual malady as much as an emotional, physical, and mental addiction. Because then I lost myself time and time again, and there was no progress. And what I came to understand is that from using from such a young age, I have no idea what feeling was. What is feeling? What is happiness? What is joy? Every good moment or every bad moment or every boring moment was accompanied by a drink or a drug. So I had no idea what genuine, authentic joy or sadness really was. Because as soon as the feeling I got confronted with one, I reached for something. I would reach for a substance. And so I shared at a meeting last night. I attend AA. AA is like, I attend NEA actually. I call it the recovery community, but AA is where I hang my hat. I shared that, okay, my son, he's 12, but he knows I'm an alcoholic, and he knows that when I was in treatment, and he plays hockey, he plays football. So I get the bro hug, you know what I'm saying? He hugged me, and it was, I thought I was gonna get the hug, but then he hugged me tighter. And then I went, when I hugged him again, he hugged me tighter, and his head was like just, and it was the best feeling in the world. Like, like a shot of 100 proof vodka going down, that warm feeling, just without the burn. So that was a genuine, experience of feeling, feeling like people share, they still struggle. Like, dude got 9 years. He's like, oh, but I miss smoking weed. I don't miss smoking weed. I don't miss drinking. I don't miss smoking crack. I don't miss smoking dust. I don't miss smoking crystal meth. I don't miss, if you had drugs, I don't miss huffing the spray cans. If there was a drug and you was doing it, I wanted some, And my last run, God rest this guy, he died, and he wasn't doing dope, And he wanted to rest, and he rested, and I was talking to my brother, and I went to wake him up, and I couldn't wake him up. And but I did the right thing, and people ask me, well, why didn't you take the money? Why would I take the money? I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like the thought didn't, go through my mind. I've been up for a week. I'm getting high. This guy got thousands of dollars, and I ran to the ATM over and over again. And I know, that, his ATM card and the money's in his pocket. I couldn't, that's not me though. It never has been me. Even though I was a robber, that's like, I'm not stealing from a dead man. That, while we were, rolling, he was a good person. God rest his name is PM, and he shared with me he lost his 4-year-old son. So, and the strange thing is that when we went into the last hotel, he said to me, he gave me $1, and he said, yo, when, this is, you give this to the drug dealer, tell him I said, thanks for the ride. So I still question, was he on a mission to kill himself? Like, you know what I mean? But, that, and the thing about it is, my wife had kicked me out. She let me come home. I went out again the next day to get an ID, and he said, don't even smoke a joint. I didn't make it home because somebody said, yo, you want to smoke this joint? It's only a joint. It's not crack or nothing. Like, hey, you know what? Hey, why not? So, I'm sorry. When they say picking up the first one, click something in our brains, which is scientifically proven. Like in a big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it says you got the heavy drinker, then you have the alcoholic. Excuse me, and they'll tell you the heavy drinker can adjust their drinking. The alcoholic cannot. But sometimes the heavy drinker will cross the line into alcoholism. God damn it. So I got a pump. I'm going to get my pump. I'll be right back. So as I move forward, because I've done this so many times, I just want to, say I've done it so many times, got clean, especially with my second wife, 16 years, and she got into the field. She's in mental health and addiction and substance abuse. So the anxiety level is crazy because like now she feels like, okay, maybe he's really gonna, stay clean this time, maybe, and so the trust is coming back. but the anxiety level is crazy. Like I have a funeral to go to. My aunt passed away, and she's like, "I'm scared. I'm nervous for you." And I had to explain to her that you don't have to be nervous for me because I would never dishonor, like, because I didn't take loss. When she I don't take loss well. If I'm clean, it's an excuse to use. I'm disappearing for 3-4 days. I might call her from the precinct. Or if I'm lucky, you know what I mean? And so I explained to her that that wouldn't dishonor my aunt's right. Because my aunt was like, her name was Allison. She was my biggest supporter. She was, she never talked down to me. She never, I went for the lectures with love though, but she never, she never stopped believing that I could achieve.
Who was she?
My aunt, by marriage.
Oh, your aunt.
Yeah. She never stopped believing that I could achieve sobriety and I could stop using and get my life together, by whatever, because there are many pathways to recovery. Like I just got my recovery coach certificate. I passed that. I'm going on to get my SERPA so that I can, assist other people that are in the recovery process. You got, Matt, you got medically assisted treatment. You have different avenues that people take to address their addiction. This is like not 1935. It's 2022. And that's why I call it the recovery community. I don't, and I would never like a young lady I was taking a class with said that she went to an AA meeting and she was on Suboxone, and somebody treated her really unfairly. So you're not clean, you're not, and I was like, I'm sorry that happened to you, because if let's say even if you drink something, they tell you, okay, come to the meeting, just don't share. You know what I mean? Like, because we don't know if you're under the influence and it's the alcohol talking or it's you talking. So listen, just, but don't not come to the meeting. So you have a lot of people that are very judgmental, but then you have people that are not. It's a very progressive thing. It's that substance use disorder, alcohol use disorder. You got Vivitrol, you got naltrexone. You have a lot of you got different avenues. You got smart recovery. You got cocaine anonymous. You got different avenues that people can take to find their place and find a quality of life, because that's what it's really about. It's about finding a quality of life where you can have your self-respect back, because that's what I got back. And it's not a self-respect where, okay, I'm walking down the street and I'm tough, I'm tough, or nobody's gonna fuck with me, and it's not that type of self-respect. Because I was talking with my brother Brian. He's in recovery, and he was a bouncer. He's a very active in clubs and stuff like that. And he had said to me, but I don't want to be a pussy. He's younger than me. I'm 53. He's like in his 30s. He's went through a breakup. And but see, we get these things that we feel like that define us, and we don't want to let go. And I read, because I read the books I read. Like, this is a book, Learning to Begin Again, by W.T. Watts. He's a PhD, and it's not a book based on drug addiction or alcoholism. It's recovering from anything, recovering from trauma, recovering from grief, and it's 365-day, book, where it's every day I read a page, and it had a drastic effect on me, because I also read Zen practice, Hazy Road to Enlightenment. Spirituality is a big part of my recovery, because my faith takes away the anxiety. Because I used to be anxiety about tomorrow. Will I stay clean? Am I gonna fuck up tomorrow? What's gonna happen tomorrow? And I'd be mired down by my emotions from the past, because I fucked up. I'm a piece of shit. I'm this, I'm that. And I'd be mired down from the past and anxious for tomorrow. And my day would be all, twisted up. I wouldn't be able to, appreciate the blessings of the day. So now my faith, plays a big part, because I actively started doing Bible study with guys, like, twice a week. from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. They're very helpful. Is that my church of choice? No, but they were there, and they were willing to do the studies with me. So that's what I did, and because like I'm finding that practice, like knowing is one thing. Like I've had the knowledge and understanding for a long time, you know what I mean? But without practical application of that knowledge to my daily life, I can't achieve the desired results that I wanted from attaining and absorbing the knowledge.
I
So
like the way you put that.
repetition and practice.
I like the way you put that, using your practical knowledge into everyday actions. It's a great way to put it, because a lot of people learn stuff, but they don't put it into action.
That's a fact. I was one of them. I could retain knowledge. I'm a wealth of information. But as far as applying it to my life, that's like the people that can give great advice, but their life is a mess,
Yeah.
but they don't give great advice. So that repetitious thing, and it all started with a guy named Kevin, another one of the brothers from AA. He told me to write a gratitude list when I woke up in the morning. So I'm like, write a gratitude list. Okay, I'm grateful. But see, I didn't have sincere gratitude, sincere gratitude where, I'm on God's wake up list. Thank you for waking me up. I was a victim of the universe. Why is this stuff happening to me? But most of the things in the situations were self-imposed. You know what I mean? If you take away the drugs and the alcohol and the lifestyle that went with it, I really don't have that many problems. You know what I mean? And I don't worry, like, okay, I had a biopsy. I'm going to get the results. I'm freaked out. They called me like a week and a half early. I'm like, oh my God. You know what I mean? I'm so freaking out. Oh God, no. Because, I had a tumor and cancer runs in my family. So now I'm like, but then I caught myself, and I'll tell you why. Because I see the St. Jude's commercials all the time. And we see these little kids that, are suffering from cancer and they're going through it. And I've seen a lot of kids on YouTube and they're suffering and they're like, I can't wake up in the morning and be depressed. I can't wake up in the morning and be angry. I'm alive today. I'm here today. And, I refuse to feel sorry for myself, because self-pity is the highest expression of self-centeredness, and I refuse. Like, I'm not doing that. So I was at work. So I went back, when I got the message from my wife, I was like, for a second, I was like, they're trying to give me a heart attack. Started laughing with my guys I'm working with. I work for moving companies. And I went back to work, and I was like, it's in God's hands, man. My faith, practicing faith. Like I said, I have faith. I have a strong belief in God, unwavering belief. But did I practice on a daily basis, or did I try to control everything? Having faith is relinquishing amount of control, and believing in something greater than myself. Okay, I believed in it, but was I really practicing my faith and belief in my higher power and his plans for me? I was not. Now I do that on a daily basis. And these are repetitious things. These are things I do daily. I wake up, I read, I text somebody in the program, a few people in the program. I, the motivational readings, the spiritual readings. I write every morning. I write how I feel, what are my thoughts, what's going on. And like I said, the one constant, like knowing that, I'm excited about my life without, using, like I'm curious, I'm excited. I want to be the best version of myself I can be on a daily basis. Like I want to see where I go. I'm 53. What can I achieve? What can I do as I move forward in my life? Where's it going to take me? And I'm not ashamed. Like I listened to this song by Staying So Far Away, and it says, I'm not ashamed of the person I am today. Today I'm not, and no, neither is anyone else that cares about me. Nobody is ashamed of having excuses for me today. And to wake up and not be mired down by that shame and that guilt and that self-loathing and self-hate it's a gift. I have the overwhelming desire to stay sober, and that's amazing. That's nothing short of divine intervention. I've been using it for decades. That my life centered around, a drink or a drug. I was only didn't use until I could use again. And like, and even now in the rooms, and my hat off to the people that struggled through it. Like, this is a blessing because I wasn't the guy that wanted to smoke a joint, or wanted to use, even when I was on parole. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna call my sponsor. No, I would say the wheels started turning. Okay, well, I want to use. Okay, how long is it till I can use? And what am I gonna use? And you know what I mean? So the planning started to come in. So I never struggled through and, oh no, because I was going to control it. It was going to be different this time, and that's the same thing I said to myself time and time again. Beautiful lies I told myself, and to the same results. Jails, institutions. So I'm still here, thank God. I've been shot, had my throat cut. I've been, through a lot, and I'm blessed to be here. I thank my higher power daily for waking me up and giving me the opportunity to be, the person that he meant me to be. And like I said, I gotta be the person behind that I was in order to become the person that I was meant to be. Does this mean that the things that it's like my tool belt, like they say for recovery, you got a tool belt. All right, my life skills, the things that I have, and then are they transferable? Some of them, yeah, but some of them are not. Since I'm not going to, use the same skills I would be in the projects at 3 a.m, trying to catch, trying to come up, and while I'm, working in on 63rd Street and Lenox Avenue. You know what I mean? And it's not the same. It's not transferable skills.
Yeah.
So you got to leave some things behind. You got to leave some things behind. And I don't have a problem with that, because I'm learning to understand that these things, they don't define me. I'm not afraid to grow because fear is a big factor. A lot of people say they're not fear, but like my friend said, he's afraid of being perceived as a pussy. You know what I'm saying? So fear is a motivator that stops change. You know what I'm saying? What am I going to be if I'm not this? How am I going to be perceived if I'm not this? And that stops a lot of growth. So there was a lot of things like the Zen practice that I read about that, and the power of intention is a book called The Power of Intention that I read. My intention every day, I set my intentions. Like, if I wake up and my intention is to, get high. No matter what happened, I got high. So if I wake up and my intention is to stay clean, then I'm going to do the things that I need to do to stay clean. What I'm doing now is maintaining the feeling that I have that, keeps me wanting to stay sober. See, that's what I call my sponsor like, yo, I panicked. I woke up one morning. I was like, oh my God. What if I wake up and I don't feel like this anymore? What am I going to do? I'm going to use it. Call my sponsor. I'm rapping. Oh, what about, He's like, hey, calm down. It's okay. You're clean today, right? So just keep it in the day. And that is a powerful tool, not living in yesterday, not being anxious about tomorrow, but really appreciating the blessings and gifts of the moment and the day, and it's really carrying me right now. Like I had all the elements for a good life. You know what I mean? A beautiful wife, children, people that care about me, a job that, but whenever you're ready, I can't have you coming to work and not coming to work, but get your shit together. You always got a job here, So it's I had to get out of my own way. I had to surrender. They say you can't win unless you surrender. That's a fact, because acceptance is a big part of growth, and I've had a lot of spiritual growth in the last year. I've accepted a lot of hard truths in the last year. Like my brother, he stopped helping me. He's like, yo, we're not doing that. I'd run the streets for a couple weeks. I couldn't go home. I knock on the door. I'd want to crash. He cut that off. No more of that. So there's a fine line between somebody enabling you and, and then, helping you get better. So, but I went through what I had to go through. And it's funny because I as angry and mad as I wanted to be, I couldn't get angry at him. So I was angry at myself. because everybody gets tired. They get desensitized. They guard their feelings because they don't want to go through the pain and feelings that they go through dealing with you, watching a person destroy themselves over and over and over again. With the fear, is he gonna come home? Is he gonna be okay? Is he gonna do it this time? And I'm so blessed to be able to, like a lot of people in treatment, a lot of people that get into recovery, they don't have anybody left. They have to work for people to get back into their corner. But in the end analysis, right now, I don't need validation from anybody. I don't look for validation from anybody. Um, I do the next right thing. I do the things that I know I need to do, and that's where I get my good feelings from. I don't need external forces. Like people get it. They get clean, they get things. You know what I mean? Things make them feel good. New clothes, new car. These things make them feel good about themselves. I don't need things. I can get things. Things come and go. I have an authentic, spiritual wellness that, I'm not willing to let go of. So I cultivate that. Like they got these things called the 9 fruits of the spirit. I'm Christian. Joy, love, peace, happiness, thankfulness, self-control, says against these things, there's no law. So I try to cultivate these things in my life on a daily basis. Um, the only things I can control are my thoughts, my emotions, and my actions. I can't control anybody else. Like anger. I had a bad anger, and my anger was off the meters. If I felt justified in being angry, I went from 0 to 100, like pop it like that, And I worked with a counselor who did a workbook on anger about that thick with me, and I was just as addicted to anger and rage as I was to the drugs. It was a means to an end. It was my go-to emotion. It was my go-to emotion, anger to rage, my go-to emotion. And I was addicted to that. And I had to learn that, you know, it doesn't happen to me, I choose it. Anger is not like go walk in the street and get hit by a bus. No, anger is something that I would choose. And because I got used to choosing it, I thought it was a response. It's not a response, it's a choice. And that's another thing that I had to learn, being in control of my emotions. Like not feeling is scary, because when you have to feel, and I hear this, it's a regular thing. Oh, here I am. Now I'm not using emotions. Yeah. And it's okay to feel, just like joy comes and goes like the tide. Sure enough, as soon as you feel joy, you're going to feel sadness. And it's okay to be sad. Like my mom passed away. I'm sad, but I can be happy that I'm living the way she wanted me to live. You know what I'm saying? All of these years, she wanted me to be doing the things that I'm doing right now. So I didn't lose another member of my family, and I was whereabouts unknown, or somebody had to scoop me up and clean me up so I could go to the funeral. you know.
Yeah.
So, I tend to all 4 areas: my mental, my spiritual, my emotional, and my physical. These are the four things that were that were destroyed utterly by my addiction, by the disease of
Yeah, those are very
addiction.
important. Those are extremely important.
Yeah, I have to tend to all of those. Outside of that, you got your social, your financial, your things, but these are the base things that I have to tend to, so I can do everything else. Because without one or the other, you sway. If I'm emotionally unstable, then I don't know how to deal with things. And I've gotten high and relapse, and I suffer from mental illness also. So, it's like I have depression, anxiety disorder, PTSD, a lot of different things. So um,
How do
I
you
used to take a
battle
lot of
those?
I used to take a lot of powerful medications, but I used to take Depakote, Seroquel, Trazodone, Risperdal. But I talked to a psychiatrist. Dr. Saeed said, we said that, and like my anger issues felt like I needed to deal more with the depression and the anxiety other than, you know, the schizophrenia and the PTSD I had to deal with. So um, the Depakote and the mood stabilizers and the antipsychotics, she said, had bad side effects, and that maybe she thought, because I could always go back to them. She said, so I pray, I meditate, I read, I set my mind in the morning, you know, and this has helped me immensely because it sets my tone for the day. You know, it helps me to confront, you know, the challenges of the day. Right in my gratitude list, right? No matter what, when I'm grateful in the day, in the moment, no matter what I'm confronted with in that day can outweigh the things that I'm grateful for. You know, I could lose somebody. And this it's a scary thought because nobody wants to lose somebody they care about. But we don't know what the day holds. So if I lean heavily on my gratitude when I'm confronted with the things, and I lean heavily on my faith when I'm confronted with the things that is called life. This is life. You know, people deal with different things. Like I was watching a YouTube, and the lady had 5 kids. 2 of them got killed. Her daughter got raped and murdered by the neighbor, and her son got shot in the face by his friend. They were playing with a gun. And she was smiling when she was talking about it. So, you know, where somebody would have used that as an excuse to fold. Meanwhile, the other 3 kids that, you know, they have are suffering because they folded because they couldn't deal. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, it's like feel and face. This is life, you know, and you're not stuck with the emotions. Emotions and feelings are free. You know, the good ones, the bad ones, they make us who we are. You know, learning how to endure and work through the sadness that we get from the grief that we have from losing someone we care about,
Yeah,
from
processing
the
emotions is very
disappointment.
important. Processing emotions is really, really
Yes, it
uh,
definitely is.
the vital
Because
thing to get done. I
sitting
mean,
in them, if you sit in the negative emotions, because that's what I used to do, because that's all I knew was negative emotions, the misery, the self-pity. So it's like, it's, how can you tell me not to be angry? How can you tell me not to feel bad? Like I'm human, but the
yeah.
object is to feel, move forward, not to sit there and wallow in it.
Let me ask you this.
Self-defeating.
Let me ask you this. We're getting towards the end here. Do you have any advice for people
Okay.
watching it? Do you have any advice for people watching and listening?
Yes, I do. Get a network like AA, NA, AA, you know, or Addicts Anonymous. Get a group, a fellowship of people that you know of like minds. I could never do this alone. You know, I tried to do this alone over and over again. Um, if you're not blessed with the overwhelming desire to stay sober, but you know you have to, because they say, I got sober because I had to, I stayed sober because I needed to, I remained sober because I want to. You know, you have to put in the footwork. You have to do the job. You have to do the work. You have to be repetitious with positive things. And you have to learn how not to fall back in the old ways of dealing with your emotions and situations that you're confronted with life. It takes work, it takes commitment. Commitment plus consistency equals tangible results in any doing any area of life. So with sobriety, that's what I do on a daily basis. I prepare for the unprepared moment because I understand that I'm an addict, I'm an alcoholic, and it shows the sun rises and sets. There'll come a day when I might get sidelined, bombed. Oh, a joint would be good right now, you know? So I
Yeah.
have to be prepared for that. So I guess get a sober network around you. For anybody out there, get a sober network. Your loved ones could be your network also because they know your struggle. So if you can't get in touch with somebody in your network, you call them. Anything not to pick up the first one. Anything that just don't pick up the first one. That's the best advice I can give anybody.
Great. I really appreciate that. So, do you have anything you want to add in?
Love yourself. You know, appreciate the life that's yours. You know, they say we all get two lives. The second one begins when we realize that we only get one. You know, don't feel sorry for yourself. Leave yesterday behind. Okay, you can't change it. You can do the next right thing today, though. You know, you can do the next right today.
It's great. So I think that's a good place to wrap up. How do you feel?
I feel really good. This is the ability to share a little bit of my story, and I hope it can inspire somebody because I'm somebody that was up and down for over 30 years, in and out of it, suffering from a disease of addiction until I surrendered and admitted to myself that I have a disease and that I can't use anything. I can't use anything. Not only that, it's not that I can't. Now I'm blessed that I don't want to. I'm excited about my life. I'm excited about being clean. I'm excited to see where I go. I'm excited to see the person that, I become.
Yeah, it does feel like you're in a second life. But that's a good place to wrap up. I think for everybody listening and watching, if you like what you saw on her, go below, give us a like. Also subscribe to see when we upload new videos. You can find us on Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You can also go to addicts-anonymous.com. There's a lot of literature available there for free. There's also a ton of different resources under our resources page. So I hope you guys check it out. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And until next time.